Ugh. I'm live. Hey guys, it's Michelle 360. I literally just did a live probably an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. I totally forgot to talk about LANA, and I meant to talk about her, but somebody was calling me. I needed to call them back, so I needed to get off the live. We didn't get there, but I'm just gonna put this out here now because I want to talk about it before I forget. So LANA is Svetlana, who is a Russian lady. I'm going to say lady because I'm not sure what her age is, but she recently had her debut K-pop song released. She is with a company that I believe is called HIC Entertainment, HICC, and she's singing her song in Korean, so kudos to her for actually speaking and singing the language. But a lot of controversy, because, hello again, because she is not Asian. And when I say Asian, I don't mean someone who lives on the continent of Asia. I mean somebody who has the DNA makeup of the majority of Asian countries. You know, people who are historically Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, Thai, Malaysian, Filipino, Korean, the like. So, recently there's been a lot of attention on this young lady because she is not Asian in the way that most of us consider Asian, even Indian. She's not Asian, okay? And there's some people who are like, yes, we stand a non-Asian K-pop queen, and there are other people who are like, K-pop is for Asian people, get the fuck out of here. And then there's people like me, and I feel like the people who watch me are kind of in my same camp, which is why you watch me in the first place. I don't give a damn what her race is, what her genetic makeup is. Can she sing? Can she dance? Is she charismatic? Is she someone that I want to watch? And the answer to that, now that we finally have her song, is meh. That's the answer, plain and simple. The song's not terrible. The song's not good. The song's definitely not great. The dancing is not terrible. The dancing is not great. The dancing's mediocre. And if she was any other Asian person trying to debut, I don't even know if I would remember this person. As it is, I can't remember the song very well. I remember it had kind of a little bit of a tropical house kind of thing going on, but other than that, I don't remember anything about the song. I remember the video. I remember she had these white outfits. It looks like there was only about 3 sets. She did some dancing in these white outfits. That's pretty much it. You know, there's nothing to talk about. I did go to her YouTube channel though because I didn't want to be biased and unfair and approach it from the way that a lot of people approach it, the sensationalist aspect of it. I really wanted to see what this chick was about. So she has some dance covers on her YouTube channel, which they were okay. It wasn't anything super impressive, but it wasn't bad. Like, she wasn't obviously a bad dancer. She dances better than Mingyu on Produce, I'll say that much. And then I watched some behind the scenes videos of her talking to people who were doing her hair and makeup and her talking about her day. Now, her Korean is not the best. I'm not going to lie to you and say, oh, she is a completely fluent speaker. She speaks better Korean than I ever can imagine to, but her Korean is kind of an intermediate Korean. I'll put it that way. It's higher than beginners, but it's intermediate. Her pronunciation is actually pretty decent. I'll give her that much as well. I am not a native Korean speaker, but her pronunciation to me didn't hit my ears in a bad way, and it wasn't super rushed or anything. She seemed to have the right breaks in the sentences and stuff, so that was cool. So I didn't get a bad vibe from her, but a lot of people are saying that she's a Korea boo because apparently on her social media previously she had posted about how her eyes looking the way they were had people believing that she might be part Asian. And apparently other posts further back in her history provide that she is completely Russian. Like, she's not obviously mixed. You know, her parents aren't obviously some form of traditional Asian or another. But I looked at her and I didn't see Asian at all. In fact, I was telling my mom when I looked at her, I'm like, this lady looks exactly like my brother's girlfriend. Like, pound for pound, looks exactly like my brother's girlfriend. So she didn't look Asian at all to me. She looked like a white girl from Mississippi, because that's where my brother's girlfriend is from. So, all that being said, um, I just felt like she was a little bit boring. But there's a bigger conversation to be had other than whether or not Lana deserves to be in K-pop. Because to be honest with you, I think that Lana must come from some money for her to be able to finance her time in Korea, for her to even get on the radar of an entertainment company, for them to want to promote her. Obviously, there's some money involved here. So if her family wants to blow through their money to promote this career that really isn't going to go anywhere right now, that's their business. But the whole thing is, who deserves to be in K-pop? And there's one young lady who, I don't know her name, and I'm not going to pick on her, but a lot of people have seen her video about the whole people hating Lana but liking other people getting into K-pop and so on and so forth. Hey, oh wow, David, you're in London. Congratulations. But a lot of people were mentioning this young lady's video. I think the young lady might be Grace. She's a younger white girl, I believe. I don't know. I'm not for sure. I've never followed her channel, so I don't know her background. But just in terms of presentation wise, she's a younger white girl, I believe. She's wearing pigtails in her video. But she talked about how, there's this double standard about people not allowing non traditionally Asian people to be in K-pop. And a lot of people downvoted her video. She ended up doing an apology for her opinions about the situation. And I didn't think that she needed to apologize for everything she said. I think that some of the stuff she said wasn't thought out all the way. And so maybe she could apologize for not thinking out things all the way through before she did her video, maybe not discussing it with another person before she decided to put her viewpoints on screen. I, on the other hand, have already had this conversation with Mason and Jade, so I've talked this out before I've talked to you. But I thought about Lana's situation in a different way, because this is the way I do a lot of the situations that I encounter when it comes to K-pop news. I look at how I would feel if this was someone else, and would I feel the same way? And if this was Sharita, who wanted to be a K-pop idol, and she spoke Korean well, and she had the ability to sing in Korean, and she could dance, I would want to see her be given the same opportunity as anybody else in K-pop. And so I wouldn't want backlash on her for trying. I would want her to prove herself through her talent. And the closest I can get to that, when I think of like African Americans trying K-pop, is Rania. Alex from Rania is the first person that comes to mind. I remember when everybody was so stoked that Alex had joined I keep saying Rania, it's Rania. When Alex had joined Rania, the first song that she had with them was, I believe, Demonstrate, and everybody was so excited because we finally have a black girl in K-pop. But Alex was not your typical black girl. Number one, she was extremely light-skinned, had, not traditional African-American hair. She looked very similar to, I wouldn't say a white girl, but maybe like a Hispanic woman, a Latina woman. And so for me, I didn't feel like there was a lot of representation there for my people, because she doesn't look like my people. But more so than that, she also couldn't speak Korean, and she wasn't rapping in Korean, and her presence in the group was a feature. She wasn't doing all the choreography. She wasn't on stage for the whole song. Like, her presence in the group really wasn't a presence of someone who's a group member. It was a presence of somebody who was there to draw traffic, to draw attention. And because of that, I wasn't really excited about Alex being in Rania. And I didn't really feel any kind of way when she left Rania, or when people were complaining about her not getting, enough promotion with Rania, because it, to me, looked exactly like what it was, a publicity stunt. That's how I'm saying. So that's the reason why I just never really cared for it. But again, I wanted to see someone like me, not like me, like 40, but like someone of my same cultural background who put in the effort to not only learn the language, understand the culture, be able to sing with good Korean pronunciation, but someone with talent be a part of one of these groups. And I thought to myself, if that occurred, how would I feel if people said that that person didn't deserve to be in K-pop? What is the difference between that person, Sharita, our hypothetical Sharita, wanting to be a part of K-pop, and Lana wanting to be a part of K-pop? Because with Lana debuting on her own, it's not like she's taking somebody else's space in K-pop. She's trying it out. If people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. But she's not out here trying to make people accept her without her making some concession. She's actually trying. And for that reason, I just don't have the capability to hate her for what she's doing. Will I be her fan? Nah. She's not for me. I don't think that she is at the skill level to be a solo. She's no Chunga. Let's put it that way. I don't think she's at that skill level. But I also think that, she's trying, and because she's trying, I'm okay with it. Now, a few comments back, we're going to say, K Hope says, I believe white people already have so many opportunities in the music industry. I do see why people are upset. And I agree that white people do have a lot of opportunities when it comes to music. But even within music, there are genres, and whether people believe it or not, K-pop is a genre. The music that gets put out in K-pop is very different to me than what you hear on mainstream Western radio. And I don't know what they listen to in Russia, so I can't say how different K-pop is from Russian music. But when I turn on the radio here in the States, there's nothing on the radio that sounds like G-Friend. There's nothing on the radio that sounds like ATs. There's nothing on the radio that sounds like Dreamcatcher. And so if that genre of music is what you like, and that's the genre of music that you want to perform, I can see why you would want to be a part of K-pop, because that's the music that you like. Same thing with like Japanese music. The music that the AKB system puts out, nobody else does that kind of music, in my opinion. So if you wanted to be an AKB girl and you learned Japanese and you learned conversational Japanese at that, give it a shot, because it really is a genre all to its own. So yes, there are a lot of opportunities for white people in the world to join entertainment. But at the same time, I get why you may be attracted to a particular genre. I mean, those of us who are fans of K-pop have to admit, we like K-pop for all the things that K-pop is that other music is not. And that's a fact. If you like K-pop, you like it specifically for what it is. So to say, oh, well, she could go do country music, or she could go do rock music, or she could do Russian pop. She could, but those things aren't the same as K-pop, and that's just the truth of the matter. All right, let's see here. Youngie says, I agree. Look what happened to Samuel and Z-Girls. So let's talk about Samuel, and then I'll talk very briefly about Z-Girls because I don't know much about them, and also just I don't have much to say because I don't know much about them. So Samuel. People are saying, if you want to support somebody who is not a typical K-pop star, or somebody who's not, traditionally Korean, you should support Samuel, which is weird because Samuel's half Korean, so I don't know why he would be brought up as a different kind of K-pop idol. But I also know what people mean about, like, you should support Samuel if you want to support somebody different, because a lot of people who didn't watch Produce or are unfamiliar with Samuel may not understand why it is people feel like Samuel was done wrong when it came to Produce. And I didn't understand it either until somebody tweeted about the whole situation. Then I'm like, okay, I got you. I get it now. So Samuel tried out for Produce Season 2, the first season of Produce, and I watched his audition episode. The kid was amazing. He was just young and fresh, and he could sing in English. He sings well in Korean. He has the talent for the dance. Like, he's just a charmer. And everything seemed to be going good for him on the show. And then it came time to, I guess, talk about people's home life, their parents, their families, whatever. And it was revealed that Samuel is half Spanish or half Mexican. I'm not exactly sure. I believe half Mexican, though. I'm pretty sure half Mexican. And apparently, that is when Korea was like, oh, wait a minute. He's not half white. We can't vote for him if he's not half white. And it was really a shame because Samuel is super talented. I think he would have been an amazing addition to 101. I'm not saying that the person who got the spot that he would have been in was lousy. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm just saying that in terms of raw skill and talent, Samuel had it, and he's had it for a long time. He had it when he was a trainee wanting to be in 17. He had it when he was a part of One Punch. He's had the talent. But Korea, knowing that he's half Mexican, made it to where he was seen as being less than acceptable. And I think that says a lot about the way that Korea views certain minorities. So while earlier in the conversation I said, I would love to see someone of my background really make it in K-pop if they put out the effort. I also know that someone of my background would have to not only be as talented as everyone else currently in K-pop, they would have to be better because they would have to be so undeniably great that people have to look past their colorism bias and their ethnic bias in order to accept this person. Because Korea has a lot of backward thoughts about what black people are like. You can see it in the way that Wendy parodies black people when she goes on Korean variety shows. You can see it in the way that Korean idols talk about black culture in relation to music. Do you guys remember back when Bobby said that being hip hop is not taking a shower every day? Like, get out of here with that. That's so stupid. So, yeah, probably the same bias that people have towards black people when it comes to the Korean public. They probably have a very similar bias when it comes to Mexican people. South Koreans have a really bad bias against Southeast or Southwestern Asians. The way that they talk bad about Lisa from Blackpink, it's disgusting. It is really disgusting to see what Korean netizens have to say about Lisa, and it's like she doesn't have any talent at all to them. She's just popular because she's Thai. And I've watched videos where people have talked about how hard it is for people who are not the right kind of Asian in Korea. That a lot of people who are Vietnamese and Thai and Malay, they come to Korea and they're seen as dirty and they're seen as lower than, and they have a really hard time. So that is something that should be addressed. And it really sucks because you look at people like Sorn, you look at people like Nickun, you look at people like Lisa, even, you look at Bam Bam, and it's just like, these people are super duper talented, they're very attractive, they have lots of charisma. Why would their ethnic background be a distraction? And it is because as much as fans want to idealize K-pop and Korea, the truth of the matter is there's a lot of ugly cultural practices that are in play, and it makes it to where these people actually have a much larger hurdle to overcome than somebody like Somi, who's half Canadian and then half Korean. Because when it comes to minorities in Korea, a European minority, a white European minority, is an acceptable minority, whereas Mexican, black, Southwestern Asian, Southeastern Asian, those aren't seen as acceptable minority. Even Chinese is preferable to some of these other people. Okay, so now I'll talk very briefly about Z-Girl because it was mentioned. Z-Girls and Z-Boys is this group that was formed to have all of these different people from all these different Asian countries outside of Korea, of course, that got put together and was supposed to be like an idol group for international fans. I listened to their debut song, and honestly, I cannot remember it. I don't remember anything about it because it was that kind of like, boop. And to me, it suffers from the same thing that LANA's song suffers from. It's just not memorable. It's not really well produced, and I don't see any reason to stand if the music's not there. But I feel that way about K-pop in general as well. You know, when it comes to K-pop, I don't look at K-pop idols and like, oh, he's so cute, I stan. That's never been my opinion. Oh, except for Minho, but that's different because Minho's a member of SHINee. I stan SHINee. I'm just fortunate that Minho's attractive. But when it comes to the groups that I follow, that I really like, that I buy albums for, that I collect photo cards for, it's more than appearances. It really is about, do I love this music? If this music hits home for me, if this music does something to me, if I feel a spiritual connection to this music, then that's why I support it. I don't give a damn about how you look or what your favorite color is or who your idol type is or what your blood type is. Those things mean nothing to me. What matters to me is, what do you sound like? Because when I put your CD in my car or when I put in my earbuds, I can't see you. I can only hear you. And if your music is garbage, I'm not going to want to listen to it. So I think that the fundamental question should not be, is it wrong or right that a person of a different ethnicity wants to be a part of K-pop? I think the fundamental question should be, does this person's talent level give them the right to try to be a part of this? And that's the question that a lot of people don't ask. They go so surface level about, you look like this, you act like this, you are this way on social media, but how do you sound? How do you dance? How do you perform? Are you a decent individual? You know, those are important questions. And there's just not enough people focusing on the talent portion of it. And I think that that is the main thing we need to be looking at. When I first heard about LANA, I heard it on Twitter, and my retweet was, but can she sing? Because that literally is what matters. Can she sing? Can they sing? Can they dance? Can they act? All these things. You know, I'm not going to act like I've never been a sucker for a handsome face. You know, Peak from Produce, I strictly wanted him to keep going because I wanted to look at him. But I don't want him to be a part of the final group. Hell no. He doesn't deserve it. You know, just like Mingyu doesn't deserve it because he can't dance and he can't sing. You know, the people whose talent is undeniable, those are the people that deserve it. And that's where we all need to be focused on right now. So let's see a comment here. KO says that's why so many people hate EXP edition, because they didn't even try. Jordan Young says Korea has a lot of great things, but it also isn't any better culture-wise than the US, and I can't name a country that doesn't have flaws. People put Korea on a pedestal, I feel like. Absolutely. And I mean, they put Korea on a pedestal for a reason. The Hallyu Wave did a great job of making Korea seem much more whitewashed than it is. You know, like when you watch K-dramas and it's these romantic comedies where the rich guy falls for the poor girl and they go on all these fantasy trips and they wear beautiful clothes and everyone has perfect skin and luxurious hair. It's easy to see the fantasy and not see the reality behind it, especially when everything has happy endings. But the reality is, South Korea is a tough country. There's a lot of unemployment amongst young people. There's a lot of problems with people having credit card debt. There's a lot of issues with people feeling like women are oppressed, and it's not fake, it's true. There's a lot of misogyny. There's a lot of patriarchy. There's just a lot going on in Korea that's ugly behind the scenes. And new K-pop fans, new Hallyu fans, a lot of them don't get it. I know it took me a couple of years to really get it. But at the end of the day, every place you go has problems. Even beautiful, wonderful places have problems because humans live there. And anytime you got human beings involved, there's gonna be a problem. But if we can just go past that and try to see what's reasonable, I think that's where we can find commonalities, and I think that's where we can find a happy medium for a lot of things. Okay, so Just Kidding said, this is so weird. I was just talking about this controversy, lol. And then Jordan Young says, and why do we as fans, especially international fans, get to define what is acceptable for K-pop? I agree, Jordan. This whole conversation could be for naught because, you know, who am I to say who's allowed to be in K-pop? You're right. You're right, because K-pop is Korean popular music. So I'm not Korean. Who am I to say what is acceptable? All I'm gonna say is, if it comes to who I think international fans need to be uproarious about, I don't think Lana is the one that we all need to have our panties in a twist about. I think that we need to have our panties in a twist about these talentless hacks that end up being able to promote. We should have our panties in a twist about CEOs who do shitty things to their artists. There's definitely other problems in K-pop that we should all focus our energies on instead of Lana. Because honestly, I don't think she deserves our energy in that way. Okay? Um, Anthony said his stream is not working. I'm sorry about that. Nosejin says, what was my reaction to Sky Castle going home? I was grateful. I actually clapped very loudly when I found out that he was not the ex-trainee that came back, because Sky Castle, to me, was the villain of the show. We still have one villain remaining, which is Minkyu. He is the villain because he is basically a human giraffe, and he has all the grace of a giraffe, and all the singing ability of a giraffe. I don't dig him, and I don't know why he's so popular. I mean, he's got okay looks, but he doesn't have looks enough to justify him being as high up in the competition as he's been. And at this point, it's almost a certainty that he's going to make the final group, and I think that that really sucks because Tuesday should be in the final group. Jordan Young says, companies that exploit people like Lana because they put no work into her debut. She seems like a marketing tool for them. I've never heard of Hick before this. Absolutely. Hick Entertainment is like, maybe we can use this Russian girl to get people to pay attention to our company. Maybe we can sell some digital units and, get a little bit of attention, make a bit of cash, and keep going. And if that's what she agreed to, fine. Who cares? Honestly, who cares? Care about it if you're paying for her music. If you're not paying for her music, why do you care? Because I'm not buying her music, so why should we care? All publicity is good publicity. So, that's just what it is. That literally is what it is. At the end of the day, why care? Because she's going to do what she's going to do, you're going to do what you're going to do, and let the Korean public decide if they like that. Let them decide if they like that. And chances are, they probably have heard even less about her than you have. This is all this back and forth about who deserves to be in K-pop is the most publicity she's going to get. Caleb says, I haven't seen any evidence that groups of non-Koreans have huge Korean support. Lami says, I'm with you. I thought I would be more outraged, but I simply don't care. Absolutely. What's there to be outraged about? I think what Lana could do that would make me mad is if she placed herself in K-pop and stated, either implied or otherwise, that she was better than other people in K-pop. But that hasn't been the case. It hasn't been the case at all. And so with her not doing that, I don't know why we should be upset. I was more upset that someone on Korean television said that Somi was the Korean Ariana Grande. That got me upset. I was like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, Ariana who? Somi? No. I mean, yes, I get it. She's pretty. Ariana Grande's pretty. But they don't look anything similar to each other. And in terms of singing skills, no, not at all. There's a lot of people that hate on Ariana Grande for her personality and her personal life, and that's your opinion. Do what you do. But when it comes to singing, it is very difficult to deny that that little girl is a fucking beast. She sings the house down. And because she does that, I think it's a real disservice and shitty thing to say that Somi is the Korean Ariana Grande, because it makes it seem like Ariana Grande is only famous because she's cute. And that's insulting to me. I agree, Lami, that Chunga very much reminds me of a young Boa. I was thinking that very much when I was watching the snapping video. I'm like, look at little Boa go. I was really thinking that. Um, um, and Just Kidding says, I'm so freaking over this, the Korean form of this Western artist. I agree. I agree. You know, okay, so Nojin says, I just started watching the first season of Produce, and I gotta say, I don't know how Somi got ranked number one, but whatever works for her, I guess. A lot of people say it was the editing, and a lot of people say it was her charm, which I can agree that it has to be charm because that's why a lot of these other people got to number one. Like when you look at season 3 of Produce, which is the one that I first watched, you can't tell me that Lil Wan Young deserved to be number one. You can't. In terms of performance and singing, the little girl's talented. I'm not going to say she's not talented, but she wasn't number one talented. And she wasn't as talented as Cheon, and she wasn't as talented as Gayeon. And Gayeon didn't make it into the group. Miyu didn't make it into the group. And all these people definitely had something much more artistic about them, which would have been a more interesting choice for the main group. But Korea votes for visuals, and Somi is Korea's ideal type. To be quite honest with you, she is exactly what Korea likes. She has that doe-eyed, wide-eyed, innocent girl next door look, and that's what people love. Anthony says, I apologize, everybody. I'm probably going to have to watch the stream later because my internet connection is bad. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Tony's back. His internet connection is working. But yeah, you know, I think that that's what we need to focus on is the talent aspect. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I forgot to talk about. The LANA thing, I just knew I had to talk about right away because if I didn't talk about that now, I was never going to talk about it. And I think it's important because what made me want to talk about it was the fact that people were so shitty to that little YouTube girl who wanted to talk about it because I get where she's coming from. It wasn't articulated the best way. We're 30 minutes in. It wasn't articulated the best way, I'll be honest with you. She didn't phrase it the way that it should have been, but I know that she didn't mean any offense, and she really probably meant to say, why not have more diversity? Why does diversity have to mean this certain kind of diversity and not this other kind of diversity? And that was what I think the point was, but it got drowned out in the presentation, and that's unfortunate. Let's see here. Oh, let me tell you about a situation I just noticed on Twitter. So I don't know if any of you guys follow me on Twitter. I'm Shawwal_360 on Twitter. A few of you follow me, but I know that it's hard because there's just so many people and streams get so full, so it's hard to notice who's what. But on Twitter, I noticed that there are some issues with a doll manufacturer whose Twitter handle is bling bling shin 5. So a long time ago, and when I say a long time ago, I mean like early 2018, long time ago. It was not that long after Jonghyun passed, and I remember seeing the first tweet from this person, bling bling shin 5, about them wanting to start doll production for these Jonghyun memorial shiny dolls. And I was like, I would really like one because they were adorable. Like the preliminary sketches, these were dolls that had like a lot of the iconic looks. It had the She Is kind of yellow shirt look, the kind of Listerine suit from the base promotions, like pink hair Jonghyun, and I don't know. It was just like it hit all the highlights for Jonghyun. They were super, super cute dolls, and I'm not a person who collects K-pop dolls. I never have. I would love to. I have the BTS Funko Pops, and I will probably be buying Namjoon's Barbie doll when it comes out. But other than that, I don't buy the little plushy baby K-pop dolls. That's not my scene. But this was one of the few times I really did contemplate buying the K-pop dolls, and they weren't very expensive. I want to say they were something like $30 a piece, but it was friends and family only. And if you know me, you know I learned my lesson about friends and family early on in my YouTube career. I remember I was watching a K-pop sale video and someone was selling some CDs. I bought them, friends and family. The CDs came in the mail. I was cool, so I decided to buy from them a second time, and they stole my money. And ever since then, I don't do friends and family unless it literally is my friend, and then I do friends and family. So I I tried to contact Bling Bling Shin 5 to say, hey, I want to buy your doll, but it looks like you just have a friends and family only option. Is there any way I can do this goods and service? I'll even pay the goods and service fee if you let me do it goods and service. And this person never responded. And I was like, okay, well, cool, this doll isn't for me. And after that, I just never really paid attention to anything. But every once in a while, I would see on my Twitter feed other Shawwalls retweet stuff about this doll maker saying, join this Geo if you want to get this adorable doll. And it seemed like more dolls got added to the mix of dolls that you can order. And it looked like it was becoming a bigger and bigger project. Like, instead of just having Jonghyun, I think they added Key and maybe Minho and Onu and Taemin. And it became bigger and bigger. But already at the point that I was starting to see a lot of these retweets, it had been months since the first tweets had been made about ordering these dolls. And early 2019, it's been a year, and they're still talking about making these dolls. Well, today on my Twitter feed, someone was saying, are you having problems with your geos with Bling Bling Shin 5? If you are, let us know. We're trying to get some action together. Turns out Bling Bling Shin 5, I guess the last time they tweeted was back in May, which is now technically more than a month ago. And they haven't been returning anyone's DMs. They haven't been reaching out to any of their group order masters. They basically vanished into thin air. And I really hate that. I really hate that because so often with these group orders, they are friends and family only, because you're ordering stuff from somebody you don't know, and they don't want to take the risk of taking a bunch of money from you, sending it to somebody else, that person ripping them off, and then they get ripped off and they have to pay you back all your money. So you take a risk for real when you're doing these group orders. And for that first time doll maker or that first time pen maker, people like that, for them to get people to want to, I'll leave it up, for them to get people to want to buy from them, they need folks to have faith that they're going to come through on their end of the promise. They need people to believe that they're actually going to deliver the product. And so because of that, when people run away with money and do shady shit like this, it damages the entire group order community, because now people say, well, I don't know if I necessarily feel comfortable ordering items from a group order because of this terrible experience I had last time, especially when it's not a group order for something like a CD. If it's a group order for something like an enamel pin, a doll, a light stick carrying case, fan site books, things like that, those are things that aren't official things where you can say, I know exactly what this looks like, I know exactly when it's going to be released, I know exactly what I'm supposed to get. When it's something where it's a fan project, it is a lot harder to trust for that, because you don't know when things are going into production. You don't know when you're going to see your stuff. For those of you who watch Katie, I don't know if you remember, but there was a doll that she was waiting on that she waited for like a year to get. And when you're waiting that long, you start to wonder, am I being scammed? And then when you see something like this happen, where people haven't heard from the person in a month, that shit, it really tears you apart. And especially a community like Shawwalls. And I'm not saying this to say that we're different or special, but we're all still kind of dealing with our own grief process, and we really have leaned on each other to kind of help us in the recovery from the trauma that was losing Jonghyun, that is still losing Jonghyun. And so when somebody manipulates our emotions to steal money, that's really tough. That's really tough. And shame on them for doing this. For real, shame on them for doing this. I hope that people get their money back. I hope that people find a way to be made whole. I hope that this person gets their kneecap busted. But yeah, it's really sad how this happens. But I'll tell you, the main thing I mentioned about the friends and family being a reason why I decided not to order from this person. But the second reason I decided not to order from this person is that this person had no Twitter history. And that was a huge red flag. Like when this person started talking about, I want to sell these dolls, they didn't have any older tweets. Like the doll stuff was like the first stuff on their feed. And I don't know how it is that it caught such wildfire, but I mean, little things like that are an issue. And so, just be very careful out there, be very diligent. If you're new to group orders, maybe don't order from a brand new person. Maybe order from somebody that has a history of actually coming through on the group order. If you can do friends and family, even if you have to pay the service fee, just pay the little extra, because at the end of the day, that is your insurance plan. Because once you send it friends and family, PayPal is not going to give you your money back. It's just not going to happen. So do it goods and services, pay the little extra for the service fee, and know that if things don't come through on the time frame that they said they're going to come through, get your money back. But be careful, be wise, because people really are out here to get you. So the comment that Tephora Cat is, yeah, I've been ripped off more than once by Geos, still waiting on things I was supposed to get in 2017, getting livid just thinking about it. I bet. I bet. I remember being upset just waiting for M-Wave stuff. And M-Wave, I know for a fact, is legitimate. But I remember back when Secret was doing their M-Wave for Secret Summer albums. And I think it took almost a year and a half for people to get their signed albums from M-Wave because TS Entertainment was playing games with folks, and stuff like that. I didn't even order one of those albums, but I was upset for people who were waiting because I thought it was such a sham that people had to wait that long for an album to be signed. A year? No one waits a year for a signed album. You might wait 3 months. Like, you might wait until promotions are over when they have time to do the signing, but nobody's waiting a year. That's ridiculous. So yeah, it's tough out here for a collector. It is really, really tough out here when you're collecting. And kudos to those people who are honest, kudos to those people who work hard, kudos to all the enamel pin makers. Oh my gosh, the people who make enamel pins, to first of all be able to draw the way that you do, to be able to plan what colors go where, how to do the outlines to make these pins become beautiful in real life, and then working with these Chinese manufacturers to get things made, to make sure you get the best manufacturer so that the grade on the products is good, to put in the time to do really cute little backing paper for your pins, and make it to where there's all these cute little extras when you send them out to people. You guys really are the MVP. And some of these pins, I'm telling you, they're works of art. They're actually literal works of art. So shout out to all of the fan site masters, pen makers, doll makers, the people who are doing it for real and are doing it for the passion and the love. Shouts out to everyone in the fan community that are making the effort to do things for other fans. I don't think that we spend enough time celebrating the people who do it for the fans. The people who do Korean translation for the fans. The people who make sure that under every tweet for a K-pop group, there's somebody who's translating it into English and Spanish and Russian and Chinese and Portuguese. Shout out to all the people who just draw fan art because they love these groups and they draw beautiful things. Shout out to all the fanfic writers, whether you're writing yaoi, yuri, or straight. Shout out to you for using your talent and your skill for the enjoyment of other fans. Shout out to the ones who aren't out here trying to scam. Shout out to the people who take beautiful fan master photographs, who give us glimpses of these groups that we would never get otherwise because the company is not putting out official photos from the Singapore fan stop. For the ones who do it for the fandom, who do it for the love of K-pop, you guys deserve all of your flowers. And I wish that there were more ways to thank these people. Whenever I have the opportunity, if something really stands out to me, like if an artist really does make an impact, I try to buy fan art if I can, because they deserve it. And I know it's a touchy subject for some fans when it comes to fan art, because the the, the groups don't get the money from the items that these fan artists make. But a lot of fan artists don't profit from the items that they make. A lot of fan artists, they charge the bare minimum to cover production costs, or to cover, shipping, or just to cover, the ability to do a run of a print. So for that reason, I think you should support them, and especially because a lot of the fan artists that are like really significant fan artists, they're also art students, and they could use the help getting them through school, and they deserve for the joy that they give us. So for that reason alone, just shout out to all the ones who are doing it for the other fans and doing it for the right reasons. So Tiforic said, these people almost ruined something that was supposed to be wholesome and fun, the scammers. I agree. Just kidding says, a lot of times fan artists hand their stuff out at events too. They don't even charge anything. Absolutely. When you look at, if you go to a K-pop concert, most of the time there's someone either inside the venue or outside the venue who has a banner for you. And I know people who I have communicated with on a one-on-one basis on Twitter who have been responsible for funding fan banners, signs, passing out photo cards, doing all kinds of stuff like that. And they made no money from it. Like, the money that they took in was strictly for production purposes only. There was no money making involved. And they've printed hundreds, sometimes thousands of fan signs in order for people to have them for events. When I went to go see BTS in Fort Worth, somebody went inside the venue and made sure that every single seat inside the venue had a banner to put up. And it was a full color, double-sided banner. That was not a joke when it came to production. That probably cost hundreds of dollars to print. And then the time to go to every single seat to make sure that every single seat had this banner. That's dedication. That's dedication. And those people deserve their roses. They deserve appreciation, and we should give it to them, because it's not, you shouldn't assume that these things are a given. Somebody has to put this together. Somebody has to contact the printmaker. Somebody has to clear it with the venue that they can go in before the show starts. This is all work, and the people who do it, they're heroes, and they deserve. Caleb says, I thought about getting a Twitter doll only once it was from a fan site. And like I said, if somebody has a history of doing the right thing, go ahead and try to order from them. Be careful, be wise, but go ahead and try, because that's how you keep the community growing. That's how you keep people interested. That's how you make it fun. I can't tell you how many of my mutuals and other people who aren't even my mutuals talk about how being a K-pop fan isn't fun anymore. And I get it. I really do, because there's a lot of unnecessary competitiveness when it comes to K-pop. But if you look for the fun, you can find it. If you stay out of Twitter mess and you kind of stick with the people that give you joy, and you look for the things that make you happy, it can still be fun to be a fan. Don't let yourself get sucked into the he said, she said, and my fandom's greater than yours, and your fandom stole from mine. If you get out of all that and get to the fun hashtags, get to, the beautiful pictures, follow a group's fan site master as they're giving you, pictures from events that you never would have been involved with. Do the positive thing. And does Maria come to your Twitter? That's just fandoms in general, in my experience, not just K-pop. Yeah, follow those things. Follow your heart. Find the things that give you joy, and keep moving in that direction. Speaking of fandoms, though, okay, I don't want to speak too much about this because this is not my ministry, but I feel like it is important. There's a show on HBO called Euphoria. And Euphoria is not a show I watch because I don't watch television. A lot of y'all didn't know that, but I actually do not watch television. But I don't watch the show, but I've heard really great things about it. Well, apparently on the last episode of Euphoria, there was a animated sex scene between two famous musical personalities. One of them is Harry Styles, the other is Louis Tomlinson, for a very famous ship in fan fiction circles called Larry. And apparently, One Directioners were in an uproar because they're very sensitive about that particular ship being promoted. And also, Louis Tomlinson himself said that he did not permit or condone this scene happening. And so people are kind of like, we're boycotting Euphoria because this is some bullshit. And I don't feel one way or another about it in terms of like Larry. I don't know anything about the Larry fandom, so I can't talk about that. But I think it is very important to talk about this fan fiction being exposed to the muggles because I have been waiting for this day to come for K-pop. I literally have. And the fact that it happened with One Direction, don't think it's not going to be much longer before, I'm trying to think who would be the BTS fandom that would probably be the one exposed. Probably something between Jimin and Taehyung. I think they would probably be everybody. Jimin or Vmin. I think Vmin would be the one. Vmin, V Cook, G Cook. Those would probably be the ones that people would do. But yeah, like the day is gonna come when the muggles will find out about the nasty things the K-pop community is doing, and how will we react? And if we react in a nasty way, see, Namjoon a lot of people like, but they're always like a background couple to the main couple, and so like for me, I tend to ship different. I ship Namjoon with V, and I ship him with Yoongi. Those are mine. Of course we'll react horribly. Of course we will react horribly. But whose fault will it be? Will it be the fault of the muggles who find out that we've been doing all this nasty shit? Or is it going to be our fault for having it out there? Honestly, because I think that we've had this conversation before, but when we have fan fiction and when we do explicit fan art, there's always the chance that this gets back to the artist. And anytime you're sexualizing these artists, you run the risk of offending them. And so when our time comes, how are we going to react? And do we have a right to be angry when so many of us egg this on? How many times have you seen a tweet of an interaction between two people in a group and people are like, oh my gosh, I wish someone would look at me with the same way that they look at each other. That's us. That's us. So is it the fault of the muggles for exposing us for the trash that we are? Or is it our fault for being trash in the first place and allowing ourselves to be in a position where we could be exposed? As far as I'm concerned, I am trash. I'm not even gonna lie. I have written many a fan fiction about Minky, so I'm not above the fray. But I do think that I would appreciate that when I get discovered, that they won't use the most explicit stuff that I have. If you could do me the favor and just concentrate on the romance and not on the smut, I'd appreciate it. Let me be honest. I've only ever written one smutty story before in my life, and it was like comic levels of smut. But yeah, like just focus on the romance. I have a couple good romance stories. Focus on those. Let's see here. So Pink Princess Juju, I missed her comment earlier, but I honestly agree, collecting has become more and more expensive while the drama and fan wars have increased immensely, but I still find enjoyment with the music and the lovely friends I've made. Oh, that's a good sentiment. Anthony says, let's keep it real. There's a lot of BTS moans on YouTube. Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, okay, how many of you, raise your hand in the room, if you've ever scrolled down Twitter or scrolled through your Instagram feed and you caught a dancing pic of a member of a group where all they're literally doing is either rubbing their crotch, thrusting their crotch, or doing a body wave. Raise your hand if you've ever been exposed to it. Because if you have, how many of the people who are in an uproar about, oh, I can't believe you're sexualizing our idols like this, if you ever retweeted anything like that, or you ever commented about how sexy that is, are you much better? Are you much better? Are you really? You know, because I mean, I have enjoyed a couple of breathless moments. I recently enjoyed a Namjoon pump up moment. So yeah, I can't say that I am not a part. I'm a part of the crew. I'm a part of the crew. There's this one tweet where it was I think it was Namjoon singing part of Home, which is the song that I love on Persona, and he did this number, and I was like, don't play with me, daddy. Don't play with me. I will cash that check. Believe me, I will. And so, how am I any better? How am I any better? So Just Kidding says, I was seriously thinking about this the other day when I saw Jimin fan art with him in a bustier. Like, I wonder if they find it humorous or disturbing. I agree. And a lot of fan fiction artists who draw BTS in these kind of scandalous positions, they do take the effort to block official BTS and big hit accounts so that they can't see the fan art directly, and also so it can't be retweeted to the artist. So that is one thing that a lot of artists do take into account, because they don't want to be offensive, but they still want to make the art because there's an audience for it. Jordan Young says, I love fan fiction and I hope it's not offensive to the artist. I personally feel like as long as they know it's fake, it's not hurting anyone. I kind of feel the same way. K-Hope says, I absolutely know for a fact that all the members know about the various things fans write or draw. They just don't say anything. I mean, of course, you know, there's a lot of things that go on in fan communities that the artists like, I heard about that. I mean, we've seen it before. And then Taforic says, OMG, Korean EXO fans kept most of their fanfic and explicit art top secret. You have to go through so many barriers to get to it, LOL. Not as many barriers as you think. Like, if you got an AO3 account or you got an Asian fanfics account, you ain't got to go through too many barriers to get it. In fact, you could just do literally a Google search like Kaisu Smut, Kaisu fan art NSFW, and the fics and the images fly. It's not hard. It's not hard at all. And you could do that with virtually any group. And if it's not members banging each other, it's members banging OCs, original characters, or it's members banging male and female artists. Like, it is all around. It's everywhere. Imagine living your day-to-day life knowing there's explicit fan art of you in a bustier. There was a fan who threw a smutty picture on stage of two members together during a 17 concert. Okay, that fan is trash. Chan Beck stuff almost exposed a while back. I know that personally, I've seen some very, very graphic fan art. Of course, I looked for it. But, yeah, I saw a couple of images with Wano and Shonu with lots of sexual organs exposed. So, of course I did. And so, and it wasn't hard to look up. It literally wasn't hard. Like, Wano NSFW. There you go. So, I mean, yeah, if they want to see it, they can see it. You ain't got to throw it at them. Let's see here. K-Hope says, I write fanfiction, mostly of YN, but I have one V-Min, but I honestly don't see a problem with it. And Jade says, I'll admit there was a period in my life where I wrote fan fiction. I think a lot of us go through that. Personally, I like fan fiction for the stories. I don't read porn without plot fan fiction because it does nothing for me. I like a story. I like to read the synopsis and be like, oh, this sounds interesting. And I move forward from there. So, especially like alternative universes, those are some of my favorite ones. I like the ones where BTS are not actually BTS, or with Shiny, the ones where Minho is not actually Shiny, or where Minho and Key aren't actually members of Shiny. Just kidding says, isn't the new BTS game a fanfic? Just kidding. Please watch my previous live that I did today, the one called Game Talk. Watch that and let me tell you about BTS World if you haven't already played it, because I talked extensively about BTS World on that video. But yeah, I'm out here. I'm out here in these streets, and I'm doing my thing. I'm not gonna lie about it. I do it. I do it. I read and I watch and I pay attention, but at the same time, I do realize that there is a certain level of decorum that we need to keep, and I try to make sure I do that. I would never throw erotic images of my biases at them to embarrass them or make them feel belittled or make them feel like they're not valued. Um, and there is an explicit agreement when it comes to K-pop that we are allowed to fetishize our idols a little bit, and I have to say that that is a part of it, because if it wasn't, the choreography wouldn't look the way it does, the videos wouldn't be filmed the way they are, a lot of the gestures and movements wouldn't be what they are. Like, when you look at the choreography for Blood, Sweat, Tears, that all this stuff, that is because they know that the fans are looking for it. They understand that we want to see the lip biting, and we want to see, their body rolls, and we want to see abs and all these other things. So, it's not like the artists themselves aren't a part of ramping up the sexual attention and attraction in things, but there is a huge difference in what they put out there for consumption and what we create that is not a part of what they put out there for us. Even these interactions that everybody swoons about all the time, like, oh my gosh, look at them looking in each other's eyes. It's called fan service, folks. And fan service is a part of the K-pop agreement. It's what they do to get our hard-earned dollars. I'm not saying it's right, but it is just a part of the system. So let me catch up to some more things here. Let's see here. Anthony says, I have seen and read very graphic fanfic about TVXQ, 2PM, and every other second gen group on Asian fanfics back in the day. Me too. Me too. In fact, me and a girl who was a big 2PM fanfiction writer, we actually started writing a story together that never got finished. And yeah, I really liked her a lot, but we lost communication with each other, which is unfortunate. K Hope says, if you just switch the names, it could be just a story. You just add the names to the characters because they are familiar to you, and you can imagine what they look like instead of some made-up person. Right. It's just filling in the gaps. Notion says, I really don't understand why fans send idols smutty fanfics or NSFW things. It's better for everyone if the idols are kept in the dark about these things, I think. Like I said before, I don't think you can keep idols in the dark about this happening. I think it's just offensive to throw it in their face. But I feel like that about anything. Like, even if it wasn't, okay, for instance, we were talking about Wano from Monsta X, I would never throw Wano and Shonu smut in Wano's face. But at the same time, I wouldn't throw a Playgirl magazine or a Playboy magazine in their face either. You get what I'm saying? It's not even about the fact that I wouldn't ever expose you to my fan longings. I just wouldn't throw pornography at you, period, point blank. And that's the line that we need to hold in place. It's not about, don't show them this fan fiction between them and other members or them and original characters. It's, don't throw pornography at people, huh? How about that? How about let's just not print letters to Hustler and throw them at these artists. Let's not print random dick pics and throw them at these artists. How about that? How about you not go to a Red Velvet concert and throw pictures of titties on the stage? If we wouldn't do that, what would make us throwing fan-made artist content at them acceptable. Okay. So, Tephoric says some fans can't separate the artist from the fanfic they read last week, and they kind of overdo it. True. A lot of people, that's part of why the whole dating thing gets so blown up. Like, how can you be dating when you're gonna hurt your bandmate's feelings because you guys are secretly in love? Get the fuck out of here. I don't want to hear that bullshit. You live in a fantasy world if you believe that's true. Lammy says an EXO call me baby and anything Monster X. Jade says I read a crazy one about GOT7 where a girl lives with them and takes care of them even sexually. Also one with SHINee where YN is basically living with them for sex. The stuff people write. And I mean, it gets outlandish. It gets past the point of like, oh, Jimin and V are dating. It's like, and one of them has octopus tentacles and shoves it up the other's ass, and they start spitting out babies, and like it gets wild. The shit gets wild. Are the orgies where there's a dick in one hole and another hole, and there's juices everywhere. Like it gets disgusting. It's like it goes from being like, oh, we're all friends and bandmates, until all of a sudden it's fucking water fountains all over the place full of different bodily fluids, and it is just some of the stuff I don't feel like I'm old enough to watch, and I have a child and I am really, really grown, but some of the stuff is not appropriate, especially some of that Alpha Omega stuff. His penis engorged as the knot traveled down his shaft. The two were locked together as his fierce throbbing love muscle connected with his boy uterus. What? Like, seriously, I've read stuff like that, and not only one time, more than once. Baby, hold on. Wait until my knot goes down so we can unlatch. What? First of all, I don't find it attractive to be locked onto somebody's penis. That shit's not cute. But I read stuff like that before. I literally have read stuff like that before. Or like, I've read stories where it's like, I read one story. I literally read this story yesterday where Namjoon and Yoongi are on a bus. Yeah, and not like a wolf or a dog. Namjoon and Yoongi are on the bus, and the bus is crowded because it's rush hour. And Namjoon, because he is pressed against Yoongi, all of a sudden his penis gets super hard, and it starts piercing Yoongi's clothes. So Yoongi's like, hey, don't tear up my pants. So he just pulls down his pants, and they begin to have anal sex on the bus while there's tons of people around them. And conveniently, nobody notices them screwing in the corner of the bus, even though it's super crowded. So obviously there's probably people that are next to them that can feel this seesaw motion next to them on the bus. Like, that kind of stuff gets written. It's crazy. But a lot of this is also written by people who have never had sex before. So I get it. You don't know what reality is. You're so used to watching anime sex, and you're just like, this seems real. This is doable. The heck, you might want to see a doctor about that. I'm telling you, some of this, the Alpha Omega stuff, I don't read a lot of it. I read it sometimes, like, of course, I'm an AO3 reader, so like if something has a ton of kudos, a lot of times I'll give it a check if it's not porn without plot. If it's like a chaptered story that has a lot of kudos, I'll check it out, because a lot of times the story writing will be really good, but some of that stuff is disgusting. I can't tell you how many impreg stories I've read where men have uteruses in their buttholes. A lot of that. So yeah, it's out there, buddy. The vampire fanfic stuff. You know what's wild? When people ship idols just because they look the same, like when everyone was shipping Jungkook with the girlie from Lovelyz, that is weird. Why would you ship them? Why would you ship them for looking alike? Like, ooh, you guys look related. That's hot. Ugh. But you know what? I can't even say anything about that, because how many people wrote fan fiction about the guys from Supernatural, even though their characters were literal brothers on the show, and they still shipped them and wrote fan fiction about them, and in the fan fiction they were still fucking brothers. That's gross. You know what's wild? When people ship idols just because they look the same. Okay, I read that one already. That's basically incest fic. I agree. The vampire fan fiction stuff, some of that stuff is really wild. Some like, oh, I could smell your blood from here. It smells like peaches and strawberries. I want to suck you dry, but I'm not going to suck you dry through your neck, if you know what I mean. Like, it's so weird. It's so gross. I shouldn't even stick my tongue out. Like, I want to gag, but maybe that would be taken the wrong way. Yeah, it's a lot of that kind of stuff. How did we go from talking about a Russian girl wanting to be a K-pop star to talking about hentai? How'd that happen? But yeah, it's a lot of it is really gross. I could do a whole K-pop after hours stream. You know, I should do that one. One day we will do a K-pop after hours stream, and I will find a nasty fanfic, and we will just read it as a family. Like, I will let you guys know the link to the fanfic, and we will have a K-pop after hours stream, and we will read a fanfic as a family. So, for real though, how did we get to this level of weirdness? I'm totally serious. I'm going to put a thing on my community tab where I'm going to ask you, what group do we want to have K-pop after dark story time, and you tell me which group we want to do, and I will find us the trashiest fanfic. I will put the link in the description before I start live streaming, and you guys will be able to read along with me as we read the grossest, nastiest, dirtiest, slimiest, disgustingest shit together. Because I feel like me describing it, everybody's like, something's wrong with you, there's no way. But yeah, we totally need to do it. In fact, I got you guys. I'm a terrible fanfic writer. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm terrible. But if it still exists, I will let you all read one of the only smutty fanfic I ever wrote. And it was a crack fic, so like it's ridiculous. But yeah, I will purposefully put in K-pop after dark stream NSFW, so the muggles can't be a part of it, and we will read my story, and then you guys will be able to comment to say what the next story should be, have suggestions prepared. That way everybody has access, and we will read as a family, because I think we should do it. I think it'll be fun. You know, if we're gonna do it, we should do it. You know, let's be out here. Associate my face with nasty K-pop shit. That's what I want. That's on brand for me. So. Your reenactments are already legit killing me. I can't wait for official story. Oh, if you think that me reenacting produce is fun, wait until we start reading Smut Fest. It will be delightful. It will really be delightful. I think that we will all enjoy it immensely. But yeah, I can't wait. I wonder if I can. I guess I can. I guess there's a way to age restrict a stream. I find it really bad, crazy fanfic. If I find one, can I send it to you as just? Yes, you can. You know, if you got me on the Twitter, then you know how to send me suggestions. So, everyone, like I said, I am Shawwal_360 on Twitter. Send me your fanfic recommendations for our K-pop After Dark streaming series, and we will begin to do this, because why the fuck not? Why not? We're all a bunch of fucking perverts around here. Let's just dive deep into our pervertdom. Side note, did you read about Yuchen going to jail? I hope he went to jail. I really do. It's not like he doesn't deserve it. He should be going to jail. He's a fucking pervert. You know, what really makes me mad about Yuchen going to jail is that he's going to jail for drug abuse instead of going to jail for rape. It bothers me that the Korean justice system is so much more concerned with someone who has a meth problem than someone who has a rape problem. But you know what? Anyway, he can find his ass behind bars. I'm down for it because it's what he deserves. It's what he deserves for bringing down JYJ. It's what he deserves for abusing women, like flat out, first of all. It's what he deserves for lying about it. It's what he deserves for having attorneys and judges believe him when he says a bathroom is too small for rape. Fuck you. Fuck you, and fuck you for all the shit that we'll probably never hear about. Fuck you for probably all the fans that you pulled backstage and probably raped them or manipulated them and their care for you and decided to use that to get off on your fucking sexual fetishes and fantasies. Fuck you. I hope that you love it in jail. I hope that jail is exactly what you want it to be and that you have all the sex you weren't getting outside of the jailhouse. I would like to know when Sungri's going to jail too. But Yuchen, this is way overdue for him. Way overdue. It's been far too long. I mean, I hope something huge drops about it, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But yeah, no verdict. I think all they've done is just that the indictments went through, which basically means they can go forward with the charges. But Yuchen, yes, I hope that he finds his asshole is much like the Grinch's heart, that it gets stretched 3 sizes too wide, because it's what he deserves. And I don't normally advocate for prison rape, but that motherfucker deserves his opportunity to get a hold of it. He deserves an opportunity to see that ass stretch, because it's what he deserves for the crazy, disgusting way that this whole thing with him abusing sex workers happened. So let him get a little taste of his own medicine. Let's see how much sex you can have in them tiny prison bathrooms. And it ain't rape because it's a bathroom. Let's see if it works, if the logic proves sound everywhere. But yeah, I'm going to go so I can start researching for our K-pop After Dark hour, because it's going to be fun. But thank you for watching, and I'm sorry I broke up the streams today. I don't normally do that, but like I said, I had a phone call that I needed to catch, and I'm glad I caught it because it was actually a very important phone call, and now we're here where we are. So, yay. Also, because I know next week I'm probably not going to stream as often because I will be doing a lot of ripping and running. I'll be going out of town at some point next week. So, yeah, I'll be in and out here and there. But thank you guys again for watching. Thank you guys for being good sports about everything. I know I am not everybody's cup of tea, but for those of you who can handle it, I appreciate that you've got the guts and the stomach for it. Anyway, I will talk with you guys later. Bye.